Hey everyone, Nick here again, back to talk about The Walking Dead. Right now I am going to give my official, proper review of the Season 8 premiere called Mercy. And I'm just going to get right into it with the first word that comes to mind, which is spectacular. This episode was just flat out spectacular. There was so much going on, it was exciting, it was just they nailed it. This episode was a home run, in my opinion. There were so many good things to talk about this episode, so I'll just get right into it. I'm going to start with the editing, which usually isn't a thing I even acknowledge, but the editing in this episode was top-notch. Usually when they do the amount of timeline jumps, like back and forth, that this episode did, like, sometimes when that goes on, I kind of just, like it just gets too cluttered and confusing, hard to keep up with, but it felt very natural. It felt very natural on The Walking Dead, and that's just... The editing was just that good. Like, it didn't bother me at all. In fact, I actually thought it enhanced the episode, and it made sense. It felt like it was building something for the future, which is always a good thing. As long as you have something going on right now, which they did, but we'll get to that in a moment. Next thing I want to talk about is the characterization of everybody was phenomenal. The leadership, Rick, Maggie, and Ezekiel, just totally on point. And it's like, I would follow any one of you into battle, let alone all three of you. Just the three of them together, it's like, I think we got this. And everyone soldiering up the way that they were was really awesome to see. Like, everyone is pulling their weight. Every able-bodied person in the three communities, they are all in on this one, which is awesome. The ones that stood out the most to me were Morgan, just because he's just completely done with all the Aikido stuff. Like, I was expecting maybe he'd, like, just knock guys out or something, tie him up somewhere. But no, he's flat out impaling people with his spear, because he's made it a spear now. It's not just a stick anymore. Like, he flat out walks up behind a guy and just right through his heart, and then when he's down, he just stabs him in the brain for good measure. Like, Morgan is done messing around, and, you know, I'm personally pretty happy about it because, like, I get the whole Aikido thing, but it was kind of inconvenient for the show, for what they were up to. Another one who stood out was Daryl, because Daryl did not get a lot to do last season until the finale. Like, he was one of the ones who got the most focus in the battle at the end of the finale. And, like, I was seeing him in action, I'm like, yes, this is the Daryl that we all fell in love with so many years ago. And he kept it up in this episode. Like, he's riding around his motorcycle, he's shooting bombs, blowing them up. He looks like the personification of cool once again. And I'm very happy to see Daryl back in true form. And the last one I want to point out is Father Gabriel, because he has just... He's not the same person that he was when they met him. That weaselly little coward that nobody liked, nobody even really wanted him around. That guy is gone. Now he is a soldier right now. And I mean, he had some of the most awesome moments of the episode. Like, he was the one driving the RV, and he jumped out the back, and then the RV went and blew up the Sanctuary's defenses. But I can't bring up Gabriel without bringing up that one moment where he goes to pick up Gregory. And a lot of people are like, Gabriel, what are you doing? Why are you so stupid? Why would you go back for him? Now, I admit, I would not have gone back for Gregory. Like, I actually said, as I was watching the episode, run him over. I mean, obviously I didn't think he would actually run him over, but I was hoping he'd at least leave him behind. But I can't say I'm surprised that he didn't, because even though he's come a long way, he is still a good guy. And it's just, he hasn't quite gotten to the point where he's willing to just leave people for dead because they're a-holes. And, you know, I admire that in him. I definitely would not be that person. I wouldn't be that person at all. I would have left him and honked the horn and been like, hey, zombies, over here, come and eat this guy. But that's just me. Something else I wanted to point out is all the callbacks that they did to, like, mostly the premiere, but they shouted out quite a few other episodes, like Look at the Flowers, of course, among others. And, like, I just thought it was awesome. Like, here we are, episode 100, but we haven't forgotten where we came from. Like, the part with Carl going amongst all the cars looked exactly like in the pilot when Rick was going amongst all the cars. And I thought that was really cool that they did that because, you know, it shows how far we've come. It shows how far Carl has come, that he's just like his dad now in so many ways. Right now I want to talk about Rick's strategy going into battle. Now, a lot of people were wondering why, when Rick had all the cars lined up outside the sanctuary, and when Negan stepped out, I saw a lot of people that were like, why don't you just shoot him right now? Now, I admit, that thought crossed my mind. But I thought about it, and I get why they didn't just start shooting right away. Because if they did, then everyone inside definitely would have started shooting. And Rick said to all the other saviors that came out with Negan, like Dwight and Simon and Eugene, he was like, I'm giving you all a chance to surrender. Like, he doesn't want this to be a full-blown war. But, you know, it's called All Out War, this story arc. So, it's gonna be a war. But I still appreciate Rick trying to avoid it. I'm just trying to be like, to the rest of the saviors, just surrender right now. You won't be hurt. Just leave Negan to us and it'll be over. It didn't go that way, but I respect Rick for trying. Now, let's talk about the actual action scenes themselves. When the shooting did break out. It was incredible. It was so amazing to see. It was so satisfying to see. Because, apart from the finale, Season 7 was just a string of losses for Rick's side. And it was nice to see them keep their winning streak going. This is now 2 episodes in a row. The last season finale and then this premiere. 2 episodes in a row where they managed to get on the board. And just the action itself was so amazing to see. Just, there were so many explosions. Like, sometimes I'm seeing an action movie and the action scenes are just, there's just explosions for no reason. Like, that tends to happen with like Michael Bay movies more than any. But The Walking Dead, whenever there's an explosion on The Walking Dead, it just feels right, you know? Like Carol blowing up Terminus, Daryl blowing up the guys on the bikes. The Walking Dead is really good with explosions, and this episode was full of them. When the RV blew up the Sanctuary's defenses, how could you not cheer at that moment? That was so amazing and so satisfying. Because it's like, yes, we're seeing them finally taking the battle to Negan. This is what we wanted to see for so long. And a lot of people were wondering why they were like shooting just the windows of the Sanctuary. I mean, I think it was just to try and send a message, maybe, to the other saviors. But whatever the reason, that shot of all the windows being blown out was just, it was so amazing. It was so cool to see. And I loved it. I loved it so much. Like, there was almost as much action in the Season 8 premiere as there was in all of Season 7 combined. Now, next thing I want to talk about is, it's not really a complaint, per se, but it's not nothing, either. most of the trailer for this season that they showed at Comic-Con, most of that was in this episode. So there maybe weren't as many surprises as I would have liked. Like when the cars were coming down the road, coming towards that wire, and like just the way the camera was set up, it's like, well, they're about to blow up because we saw that in the trailer. So yeah, there weren't as many surprises. There were surprises, don't get me wrong. But there maybe weren't as many as I would have liked to see. But, you know, on the flip side of that, I mean, if they're getting them all out of the way, then that should mean that there'll be more surprises still to come. Yes, there's a couple other stuff, but the really big stuff, like the explosions, that was in this episode. So I think that's probably a good thing. Like, that'll help down the road, that there'll be more surprises. I hope that they didn't put everything, that they didn't put all the action in the trailer, and that there's still stuff coming. That's what I hope. And that's what I think there will be. But yeah, this episode, it set such an exciting tone for the season. Like, there's momentum now, and I hope that the show can keep building on it, and I think that it will. Like, this episode promised that this season is going to be intense, and I hope that it can keep that promise. Like, compare it to the Season 7 premiere, the tone that set for the season, just kind of grim and hopeless and defeated. But then compare it to this one, and it's like, yeah, we're taking our show back. And this season is going to feel more like The Walking Dead than the last season did. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I gotta give this episode a 10. I really do. Because it was so much fun. There was nothing wrong with it. I can't really nitpick anything. Like, the only nitpick I really have was just that most of the trailer was in this episode. But that's not really a nitpick per se, because when I saw it in the trailer, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So it's like I'm seeing amazing stuff that I already saw, but it's still amazing, you know? Because it was amazing the first time, so I can't really knock it down a mark for that. So yeah, just 10 out of 10. This episode killed it for me. Now, Scott Gimple promised that the first 4 episodes of this season would be so intense that, and I quote, "it'll melt people's faces and make them want to smash their TVs." Well, I would say that's 1 out of 4. So, you're 25% of the way there, Scott, so hope you can keep it up. And I got a good feeling. I think this season's going to keep it up, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode, every episode to come. I'll try and do more videos more frequently, because like this season I think is going to give me a lot to talk about. So yeah, that'll do it for this video, and I will see you next time.